Welcome to Shalini e-learning. In this channel, you will find the topics on environment science and courses up to UG and PG level. I will be discussing about environmental ethics with emphasizing on deep ecology and ecofeminism. So let's start. Words environment ethics define moral duty towards environment, and environment issues require a consideration of ethics and morals. Today we are losing our moral and ethics. That's why the environmental issues are dramatically rising. Ethics is a Greek word, ethikos, means arising from habitat, is a branch of environment philosophy, is the study of moral values. Moral principle try to define one responsibility towards the environment and is called environment ethics. Consider ethical relation between human and nature. Guidelines. Various atheists and philosophers proposed following guideline to work with earth. What should be our moral duty? So there are some following points. We should not disturb or degrade physical, chemical and biological capital of earth, because this attribute provides support to livelihood and all economic activity. We should work in integrity, means take care of natural elements, biodiversity, ecosystem. Next, adopt eco-friendly approaches. We should choose those methods to alter nature that are least harming. Next is EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment, which is mandatory before any alteration in nature, and it will predict long-term, short-term environment danger. Environment ethics and its principle. There are several approaches or principles to determine how we are to value our environment. First is anthropocentrism. It suggests human beings are topmost in food web or food chain and most important organism. All other living organisms just are the accessories which are supposed to have a supporting role in their survival. Next is biocentrism, ensures the balance of ecology on the planet, and it considered these environment systems to be valued important for all living beings. Next is holism. Consider environment system as whole rather than putting the element apart. Next is speciesism justifies superiority of human race. On contrary, it also justifies exploitation of animal by man, and more likely it is just like anthropocentrism, where we put human beings at the top in the food web. Next is ecocentrism, sum of holism and biocentrism. So it involves all the natural entities have significant value, intrinsic value, having their own right, not only for the human interest. This type of environment ethics. So after so many theories or principles, the environment ethics is classified in order to protect nature, plant and human beings, which include social ecology, deep ecology and ecofeminism. So first we will define what is social ecology. So it is study the relation or the human and their interaction with their environment. So it is a study of relationship between the human and their environment. Next is deep ecology, which promote the theory of ecocentrism, but having some different views, like both view also value the nature need to thrive. Deep ecology profess to give all the natural element exist on earth are having equal intrinsic value, significant value. Additionally, deep ecology value individual entity and entities equally, while ecocentrism value the collective ecosystem and biological community over individual life form. Next is ecofeminism, which help us to look at earth and nature as human so that we can respect it in a better way. Now ecofeminism, So emergence and origin of ecofeminism started in the year of 1970, which is also known as the year of or the era of modern environmentalism or environment movement. So these movement all over the world dedicated to continuation of life on earth, like for example Chipko movement in India, US movement against dumping of hazardous waste in US, Green Belt movement in Kenya. These movements were labeled as eco-feminist movement. Now, these movements attempt to demonstrate the resistance politics working at the micro level of power and point to the connection between women and nature. They also claim to contribute to an understanding of the interconnect between the domination of person and nature by sex, race, and class. Ecofeminism is about connectedness and wholeness of theory and practice, the devastation of earth and her beings by the corporate warrior and threat by nuclear annihilation by the military warrior as feminist concern. Whenever women protest against ecological destruction, new development in biotechnology and genetic engineering discovered, and the connection between patriarchal domination and violence against women, it led to the realization that the liberation of women cannot be achieved in isolation from the larger struggle for preserving nature and life on earth. Next is ecofeminism and its critics in India. Most visible advocation of ecofeminism is Vandana Shiva. She critiques modern science and technology as a Western patriarchal and colonial project which perpetuates violence against women and nature. She points experience of women in Chipko movement in Garhwal, Uttarakhand. She also argues women conscience and consciousness and also highlighted the feminine principle largely expressed in Hindu term. Shakti and Prakriti are posed as representation of Indian philosophy as whole. She ignored pre-existing inequality, that is class, caste, power, privilege and property relation that predate colonialism. She also ignored the question of who acquire what knowledge and property relation play a major role in the way in which women and men relate to their environment. Next is the gap between the legal and actual land ownership, patrilocal marriage, segregation of public space, social interaction by age, class, gender, female illiteracy, high fertility as well, as well as the male control over the agricultural technology and lack of information put women farmer at disadvantage, thus would probably not be inclined to undertake long-term conservative practice. So, in simple words, we can conclude that when the men of the family put women first in all their decision and action, then only she can play a major role in the society and in conservation practices as well and conserving an environment and nature. Thank you. For more informative video, please subscribe this channel.